This is a 3-minute message brought to you by Redemption Church, Delray Beach.
In Malachi chapter 1, what we find here is a call to worship. The children of Israel had their view of God shrunken. They had viewed less of God, less of His power, less of His greatness, less of His holiness. And it caused them to turn away from God in worship, to make their worship also shrink. And we see that God starts off this chapter saying, "Great is the Lord beyond the border of Israel." See, back then, a lot of religions believed that their God was maybe the God of the ocean, or a God of the streams, a God of the mountains, the plains, the hills. But God is saying and reminding to the children of Israel, I am a God beyond your borders. I am a God of all of the nations. I am a God over all of the world. He's giving them a bigger picture of who He is. Because what's been happening, and he calls this against them. He says that you've been giving lame offerings. You've been giving blind and lame and sick offerings. He says, try to give that to your governor. See how he would respond. He says, I am so far greater than your governor, so far greater than your king, than all the nations combined. That He had saved them from their slavery in Egypt. He had saved them from many captivities, from many situations. That He deserves to be worshipped. And because they've been lessening their view of Him, they've been lessening their worship. And it only hurts us when we choose not to worship God, because when we don't worship God, we worship something else. And as we see throughout all of Scripture, when you worship anything but God, is damaging. It's damaging to yourself, it's damaging to others. And so God calls them to remember to worship Him above all else. This lack of reverence and awe has also led them to be weary in their worshiping. God calls them out in verse 13, says how they say what a weariness it is to worship God, to give sacrifices, to upkeep the temple. And God says, if you only knew, if you only recognized how great I am, this would not be a weary to you. So may we today do the same. May we turn to God, remember how great He is, remember the things He's done in our lives, the lives of others. May it cause us to worship Him joyfully. May it cause us to worship Him holistically, that He would have all of our lives because He deserves all of our lives. So would you see Him more clearly today? Remember His goodness in your life and in others. May it cause you to worship Him.